We recently surveyed around 200 HR professionals to find out about their experiences of being recruited themselves. We wanted to know whether we put our money where our mouth is and role model great practice, or is it more of a question of cobblers' children wearing the worst shoes? Sadly, nearly 2/3 of you complained about your experiences of looking for a new role in HR. There is still some really basic stuff that we can do better, like dumping cumbersome application forms, or even just acknowledging receipt of their CV and providing feedback. But there are also some changes in tactics that we could adopt to make sure we're getting the best HR talent out there. Number one, can we widen the pool of talent by dropping some requirements? Now, many of you suggested that we are limiting our pool of HR talent by being too prescriptive around certain experiences or accreditations. Do we need to specify the industry background? Do we need to have that level of professional qualification? We see HR teams benefiting from talent who come from another sector, who have great experiences but may not have done the formal qualification, and who bring experience from roles outside of HR. For example, we're seeing an influx of ex-marketeers coming into HR. They often bring fantastic insights to an HR team who want to progress, say, employee experience or user-centered design. Number two, specify the outcomes you want, not the tasks. When you're pulling together the job spec, try and focus on the outcomes that you want this person to deliver, not just a long list of tasks. By clarifying what you want the person to achieve, you can open up the role to people with different ideas about how they might deliver these ambitions. So, for example, an outcome might be design and implement HR products that improve team performance, rather than implement a new appraisal system, or increase the pipeline of talent available to hiring managers, rather than manage the talent review process. Number three, don't ask them about people processes, ask them about people. As an HR director, I would typically ask interviewees about their experience of implementing people processes. I would ask about the L&D programs they'd run, their diversity and inclusion initiatives, their approach to onboarding and so on. But rarely would I actually ask them about real-life human beings. And isn't this part of the problem that we face in HR? We've become so good at so-called best practice people processes, but we've lost our position as the human experts. If I had my time in HR again, I would ask prospective hires about how they had influenced behaviour, how they'd helped to change habits or encourage new ways of thinking. And I would also be really wary if the responses were neatly packaged in a process or initiative. We know this stuff is difficult and messy, and I'd be looking for the person who acknowledged how hard it is and who came up with a range of small measures like conversations or nudges based on genuine insight into the people that they'd worked with. We may not be looking for psychologists, but we do need more human insight and less well-packaged process. Number four, make sure that they're tech savvy. At least some of the interview should include a discussion on how digitally literate they are. We need people in our teams who are familiar with a range of platforms to build and host HR products, who are comfortable with building and using employee data and insight, who understand how to use social media to build brand awareness for our EVP and social networks to build talent communities. If we're not sure about the questions that we need to ask, then we should invite one of our digital colleagues from the wider organisation to help. We still meet HR professionals whose only interaction with digital is kind of dabbling on Facebook. We've got to strengthen in this area. Let's worry a little bit less about 10 years employee relations experience and more about their ability to take us digital. And number five, excite them with a bigger ambition. I was scrolling through, the various job boards that are out there, and I have to say there wasn't one HR vacancy that made me think, wow, I want to be part of that team. Do the words strategic business partner have the impact they might have once had? Are we setting an exciting ambition for our future hires? Or does our vacancy sound like every other HR team's? I don't think we should worry too much about the titles, but I do think we should be elevating our ambitions and setting a different kind of expectation. For example, instead of telling them that they're implementing people plans linked to the business strategy, we could talk about their role as being to create the conditions where our people can do their best work. Wouldn't that be a bit more compelling? So let's increase our chances of finding the best talent for our HR team. Let's drop some of the traditional requirements and focus on some new criteria, such as digital literacy and human insights. Let's widen our talent pool by inviting new ways of delivering our outcomes. And let's make sure we set an ambition for our team that feels confident and energising.